Welcome back to the Make It Count podcast.
I'm Marcus Mire, founder of Mire Group CPAs and the Total Control Accounting System.
I'm Tyler Warner, small business owner with a lot of accounting questions.
All right, Tyler, I look forward to these episodes when we have a guest.
I do too.
Less us, more guests, right?
That's right.
And so today we got Hunter Thevis, who is one of the co-founders of S1 Technology. Hunter and I connected recently, and it was pretty clear, very like-minded in terms of how we want to run a service-based business. I was really intrigued with what they're doing. I love kind of the relationship aspect of running IT is kind of what we strive for here at Mire Group in terms of how we service accounting clients. So I wanted to bring him on, just kind of talk IT, best practices, where's the industry going, give us some horror stories, give us some then make us feel better about what are some things we can do to protect ourselves. So let's get started with you, Hunter, kind of a little bit of your bio and background and how you got going with S1.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This is cool. I like podcasts a lot. So from Lafayette, I've been here my whole life. I had aspirations of leaving, but Lafayette kind of pulls you back in. I married a girl from here. I went to college.
I was saying that's why you were here.
Yeah. It was making a mistake. But I went to college at LSU. I studied management information systems, or the formal term for it was ISDS, information systems.
ISDS, I remember that.
Yeah, decision sciences.
Yeah.
So there was a couple of different tracks to that. I was just really gravitated towards like technology and business.
Gotcha.
And so in college, I was really interested in business as well. So in college, it was kind of showing how young I am, but it was like the drop shipping phase. Like, you remember all like the e-commerce, Shopify,
absolutely.
stand up a store, sell stuff. So I did one, and it was everyday carry. So you might remember like the Instagram photos of someone, they'd like take a top down shot of everything that's like in their pockets. They carry like their pocket knife and their keys and the watch they wear and all that stuff. So I had a drop shipping store where we sold those types of things. I would just go on Alibaba, find these things at very cheap prices, do really good like Facebook ad campaigns, and then sell them. And so I was always like trying to do stuff, like trying to make stuff happen. And while still also being in school and having a relationship and balancing those things.
Can I ask, were you successful?
For a time.
Okay.
For a time. I did okay with it.
Because I've heard that the only people that make money in drop shipping are people who sell courses about drop shipping.
Oh, people made money off of me buying courses, for sure. I think I did a few months where I did like $4,000 or $5,000 a month in gross. I don't know what that was in net. I was a young kid.
Dude, this is hilarious because I remember in college, like when you're saying this, I'm like, I know like you're thinking the same thing. We've all done this. I remember, so my deal, I'm a little older, it was eBay. Okay, so eBay was big.
Yeah.
And I remember I was into golf, and I remember like, man, you can't find a replacement head cover. I started doing replacement head cover arbitraging on eBay. I'd buy a head cover for $10, I'd resell it for $18. I thought I was on my way.
That's a good idea.
So I was like, as you're saying like these ideas, like it's
what my arbitrage was?
Oh, Lord, what?
Fat pants.
Fat pants.
So I had same thing. Okay, I was not successful at all, but I was like, man, big and tall. Like the secondhand market, it doesn't exist. Like, it's really expensive to buy like extra large pants. And so I was like, I went to like 4 Goodwills and Salvation Armies and just bought like the biggest pants I could find.
Right.
And then I tried to resell them on eBay, just thinking like that'll be my niche. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'll serve that community.
Yeah.
Used big man pants.
Yeah, exactly.
That
was as simple as it was. That was
going to be your ticket to Vail, right?
Yeah, it never really got off the ground. I don't even know that I sold one pair of pants.
Right.
But anyway.
All right. So Hunter, tell us a little bit about, so you're from here.
Yeah.
How'd you get started in S1? Maybe give us a little bit of your work background and what led into that and kind of where you got off the ground.
So I guess going back to college, I was working for Acadian Ambulance.
Okay.
And so Acadian Ambulance, for those that don't know, I think it's one of the largest, if not the largest, privately owned ambulance company in the U.S. And I did service desk for them, like the help desk. Hey, thank you for calling the service desk. How can we help? Oh, my printer's not working. Remote in, solve the problem.
Is it internal?
It was an internal service desk.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so that's how I kind of cut my teeth on what that world looked like and for what I'd still consider a world-class IT organization looks like on the inside, and in the form of a local business. Yeah. And so that was really cool for me, while also being in school, learning about what these Fortune 500s do and how the difference between the two. So doing my little like drop shipping here. I did some like some crypto stuff. Like I was, I think the statute of limitations is up, but I was buying and selling fake IDs. Like I said, I was an enterprising young man, and so I was buying and selling fake IDs. And at the time, I think Bitcoin was around like $13 and went up to like $50. And so I had some Bitcoin that kind of got left over from the midst of that. And then those the run up, and I kind of got interested in cryptocurrency and pretty much anything where like $1 was to be made. Like your boy was there.
Yeah.
And
hustler.
I was just hustling, and for whatever it was worth, I learned a lot in all that. Made a lot of mistakes, and that was all just in college, where like the stakes are very low. I don't have a family to take care of and all that.
Right.
And so got out of that, and my intention, like I said, was go to a big city. Like I got into some target MBA programs, like Duke and SMU, and like these ones where you go and become the investment banker or the management consultant or something like that. And that's what I thought I wanted to do.
Right.
But I ended up, like I said, marrying a girl from here. And so her family's here, my family's here. And so I was like, okay, well, there's plenty of opportunity there. I started applying for jobs here in Lafayette and got a job at a local IT company. And it's local in that its headquarters is here, but they're a global company.
Right.
They took care of some Fortune 500, some really big businesses here. And so I got in as a project manager there. So I graduated undergraduate. I went to work for this company as a project manager, doing big implementations for like cybersecurity rollouts for big trucking companies. We did an SD-WAN project for LHC Group that was huge, like 800 locations. So just like really, really good exposure to what world-class IT looks like at a big scale. And then in the midst of all that, there was I kind of got pulled over to the more customer-facing side, like doing account management, more sales, more experience like on the business operations side where the revenue operations happen, and really kind of opened my eyes back to like that enterprising young man that I was in college. And also along that time, we started doing a lot of content, and we were making videos, and we were talking about this business was doing this for cybersecurity, and this is the outcome, or this is the unlock or efficiency from implementing this security tool, or this piece of automation. And it started to draw a lot of attention. And I say a lot of attention in a local market. You get 2,000 eyes on a piece of content. Like that's pretty significant traction.
Where are you doing this? Where were you doing this?
LinkedIn.
Yeah,
like
that's what I thought.
We'll circle back to LinkedIn probably a couple of times, because LinkedIn is like, I love LinkedIn. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah,
but we're doing the videos, and so that created a ton of inbound in terms of interest for that company, and for me to go and sit with these customers. The thing is that this company that I was at, they're looking for bigger businesses, like not the 6 to 10 to 50 employee kind of mom and pops. They were looking more towards the 1,500, 5,000 employee type businesses. And so it was kind of like an amalgamation of those things, in addition to one of my co-founders, Jeremy, had reached out to me, wanted me to build up his division of his managed service provider, his IT service provider. And that didn't work out. So we kind of talked for maybe 2-3 years. And then a couple of things happened at the company that I was at. And again, like no hard feelings or any of that stuff. But it was a situation where there was so much inbound interest from local small businesses. And I'd kind of built up such a knowledge base of how to kind of put together a solution for something like that, and then match that off with my co-founder Jeremy, and he'd done it operationally in a really, really like good way. Yeah. In our world, we think a lot about operational maturity level, like OML, we call it, and he'd built a very high OML MSP being managed service provider. And so kind of my skill set and his skill set come together with a ton of need in the market. Kind of created S1 technology.
Right. So, man, that's interesting. So I didn't think this conversation was going to turn into marketing and content. But I guess that's kind of why we're here. That's kind of how you and I have met through mutual friends. So I guess so you were drawing leads inbound leads at the firm you worked for. Mm-hmm. And so you kind of realized like you said, I think you kind of realized light bulb went off like, okay, I'm getting these inbound leads for a customer that's not really our market. Right. Mm-hmm. This is small. So is this kind of where the seed started brewing of like, man, there's a big need? And you and Jeremy kind of put the pieces together there to say like, okay, we've got the inbound, we can do this. You've got the chops to service them. Is that kind of how it started?
That's exactly right. Yeah. Because like I said, I started on service desk, but you put me on keys right now and have me try to solve a problem for you on the computer, I'm probably not your guy. Like we hire people much smarter than me to do that stuff.
Yeah.
But whenever it comes to organizational structure and culture and building a good brand and working on sales funnels, like I'm very good at that. I'd put myself like in a pretty high quadrant. For those things. But Jeremy had he had the secret sauce in terms of what it took to put the right tools in place with the right middleware, the right automation, the right customer experience tools and metrics to be looking at. And so it was kind of like brand meets operational excellence equals S1 technology.
Yeah, that's cool. So what are you guys seeing? So you got S1 technology off the ground, and now, like, how long has that been?
2 years now. We just hit 2 years in April.
Okay. What are you seeing right now, kind of current landscape? What does that look like from an IT perspective? So kind of tell me what some of the things that you guys are interested in and where you see things going.
Sure. I think it could probably be good context. So S1 is a managed IT service provider. So we take care of small, mid-sized businesses. So our smallest businesses are like 10-person CPA firms. Our largest businesses are like, we've got some radiation oncology centers in Anchorage, and they've got hundreds of people there. So kind of, and everything in between.
Yeah.
And so for the smallest businesses, like the 10-person CPA, you don't have internal IT. So we are everything. We are the phone, take care of the phones, the email, the printers, the desktop support, can you change my email signature? Why didn't I get this email? Is this phishing? All of that stuff. And so I guess through the lens of that, or through the context of that, what we're seeing as an IT service provider is a big kind of shift in how companies are having to conduct themselves, and how safe they're needing to be, how they're training their employees to make sure that they don't send checks to someone that they shouldn't be sending them to, or not sending ACH payments to the wrong account routing number because someone sends an email to them.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a ton of that.
Gotcha. We're like, you and I kind of, one thing that really resonated with me, we were talking, and this is kind of big in my community, and it's almost like kind of full circle, is this whole Microsoft suite. So I want to talk about that because, like, you know, I'm in a space right now where I'm in like app overload, honestly. Like I've got, and it's almost, I think it kind of came out of, and this will probably resonate with you, kind of that open source mindset. Like, I just want to go get best of breed, kind of like, I don't want to be beholden to one. Like, but then, and I was thinking the pendulum was going to swing this way. It's like, okay, now you start to have 40 apps. And you start to look at your SaaS spend, and it's like, holy cow, I'm spending $60,000 a year on SaaS apps. And it's like, okay, now I think a lot of people are that pendulum swinging back. So you and I got to talking, and this has been in the back of my mind too, with a lot of my other like colleagues and peers are like saying, hey, you ought to look at the Microsoft suite again. So kind of tell me, I know that's something that resonated with me. Tell me what you guys are seeing from that perspective about people pulling together Microsoft to kind of solve that app spend problem.
Man, I'm glad you're thinking about it that way, because I think the fact of the matter is Microsoft has such a stranglehold on the business space, the SMB space, or the enterprise space for apps. I mean, everyone has used Excel and PowerPoint and Word their whole life. And so now Microsoft 365 has evolved into this entire business suite of products. For $15 a month, you get an automation tool, PowerPoint, Excel, SharePoint, Teams, OneDrive, all of these different tools that are business enablement that are all interconnected. You don't have to worry about Zapier connecting your tools together. You don't have to worry about this disparate app and then exporting it to a CSV and then popping it into this app. Everything lives in Microsoft 365.
Right.
And so what I'm seeing a ton of, and this is a CPA firm, what I'm seeing in a lot of accounting firms right now is the use in the way that they source all of the income information and all their expense information using encrypted OneDrive or encrypted SharePoint files that the tax preparation people can go and grab that stuff from there. Or what's even cooler is using the AI tools inside of Microsoft 365 to parse those documents and grab the information that's meaningful to them.
Right.
Or send notifications and say, hey, this person just submitted this document, still waiting on this document, all in a way that's automated using Planner and Microsoft Project.
Right.
It's almost a little bit overwhelming to even try to explain in like a minute because there's so many unlocks.
No, my mind immediately goes to, because I start thinking around, like, so you're talking about like securing information and getting stuff from somebody, but then also notifying people.
Sure.
So I immediately start to think about like the minute somebody drops something here that I want to kick off a Teams message to this particular channel, to this team to say, hey, so and so from this client uploaded this. I mean, right now we're doing that with workarounds. We're exactly what you said. We're using Zapier connected to our project management software, which is Canopy, to say, hey, we built the Zap. When somebody uploads a file, send it to our team chat. Now, we have the wherewithal to do that, and not a lot of people do. But even for people that have the wherewithal to do that, the thinking of where it doesn't have to happen, like it doesn't have to, I don't have to put this third party in the middle, is intriguing to me, not to mention the kind of like on the dollar side.
Well, yeah, you're thinking about it the right way as well. But I mean, something that's a huge unlock is Power Automate and Power Apps. So it's essentially having Zapier with the most robust APIs to all the tools that you already use.
Yeah.
And so something that we use is called Power Apps. And so I have a Power App that, let's say we go to lunch right now and I need to expense it. I can take a photo of it. Within Microsoft 365, no additional cost to this thing. This is wrapped up in my $15 per employee per month. I can take a photo of it and it's going to parse that receipt, find the merchant, find the date, find the time, find who ate lunch, because I can write it by hand on there, and automatically populate that in QuickBooks.
Yeah, that's
for an expense report. And it's like, it's all of these tiny micro unlocks. And in a service-based business, like the beauty is in the details of what we do. And it's so difficult to understand what good looks like until you actually can see and touch and feel it. And so, like the way that you're thinking about little tiny efficiencies within your day, that's money to your business.
Well, we were talking about it. I don't know, episode or two ago. I said the stat of if you spend something that takes you 5 minutes a day.
Oh, right.
5 minutes a day that's a half a week a year. 10 minutes a day is a week a year, like a work week.
Oh yeah.
So if you do something like that, which I've got, I know I do those all over the place. I've got these 5 and 10 minute tasks all day long, but if I can eliminate them, get my time back, And I did see when you and I went to lunch, I saw that you guys were kind of displaying your tool there. So is that kind of similar to what people would be doing like in Google App Space, like in terms of the Microsoft where you guys are building out the Power Apps is Microsoft's app builder?
Oh yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So and the G Suite, like it's a really robust suite of products as well. I find that it's not as small business friendly in terms of what it shows you how to do out of the box. Like Google and Microsoft are the two 900-pound gorillas. They have feature for feature almost the same stuff, but it's just a matter of how easy is it for your employees to use it and create those efficiencies and adhere to those processes that create that don't create the 10-minute deltas in time where they should be. It should be 0 minutes.
Right. All right. So I want to pivot a little bit because I think everybody likes about we want to scare some people. So let's talk about and let's get some good stories about, like, give me some examples of where IT's gone wrong. And then I want to contrast that. I want to follow up with, okay, but all right, so we scared you, but let's think about how we can do it better. So give us some stories about some things you've seen out in the wild and, some horror stories. Anything come to mind?
So I've actually kind of made a pact that in general I try not to like scare people, because the world that we live in is like, it's a really scary place, man. Like some of the stuff that we see or some of the notifications that we get, or like even just phishing emails that we get, where it knows exactly like what your wife's name is and what employees work in what division and what their titles are. Yeah. And then they send these super elaborate emails. And email is like, that's like the 99% attack vector. Yeah. That's how most of these bad guys are getting in. Yeah. But a story that I have is we recently went and sat with a customer that they weren't a customer of ours, but we were trying to get them as a customer. They'd recently sent a $1.5 million check for a down payment for a big vehicle.
I already regret you asking for the horror stories.
No. This is good because we're gonna finish with a happy ending.
What really stinks, man, is like they didn't do anything wrong, per se. So they had all the tools in place. They were doing everything the right way. Their vendor got compromised. Their vendor had somebody enter their credentials. Whenever they got a phishing email and I said, hey, check your HR report, just click here and enter your email and password. They didn't have two-factor authentication on, which if you take nothing else away from this, two-factor authentication everywhere on your bank and your email, everywhere. Yeah. That vendor did not have 2FA. And so this guy gets an email from their CFO and says, hey man, I know we're waiting on that check, but we have some cash flow issues. Could you please just ACH this? And it's the exact email from the CFO of a business that's much bigger than this potential customer we're talking to. Wow. And so he feels like he's got the authority in the room. He goes and sends this $1.5 million deposit down payment on this vehicle, or this fleet of vehicles.
Well, I was about to say, what vehicle
fleet,
we bought?
fleet of vehicles.
The down payment's $1 million. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, geez.
Fleet of vehicles, and so they send that off, and they have a bit of a cut rate cyber insurance policy, and they don't report it early enough. So another takeaway you can have is if you have one of these wire fraud instances, report it within 24 hours to your bank, and hopefully you can claw some of that back. They didn't. They lost it.
Oh, geez.
And I guess the lesson there is not that it was a tool issue or a people issue. It was a process issue.
Right.
And so a big part of what we think about is what is the process by which big changes like that happen? Pick up the phone and talk to them.
Yeah.
And so there's a million other stories that I can tell, but that one just hit me and is really recent.
Oh, geez, man. Could you imagine?
Oh, that's business shut down territory for some small businesses.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
$1.5 million, like, for the wrong business, that's, you're cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think, like, I mean, what scares me, I will say, and not to spend too much on the scary stuff, but, like, it's so easy.
Very.
Because it's also behavioral driven. Because, so, like, for instance, I know somebody could send an email here, and somebody's working late, or somebody's tired, and didn't sleep well the night before.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a click away. Like, or somebody's new to the team, and we talk about IT security, and we talk about behavioral stuff, like don't click links, try to understand, like, because what gets me a lot of times is I sense the tone of the email. I'm like,
Sure.
Other day, a buddy of mine sent me an email, and it was him, but I was like, he never calls me this.
Right.
So, like, but my point is that can slide by people when they're compromised emotionally, they're tired, whatever, they were overworked. It just happens.
I literally was, I just got an email, like my email was published on a website, part of this organization. And literally like within 2 days, I had already gotten somebody emailing the staff on my behalf. And they were like, hey, you wanted, literally someone comes in the office and says, hey, you wanted
Gift
to
cards?
see me? And I was like, what?
Oh,
and they were like,
geez.
yeah, you emailed saying you needed to see me about something.
That's
And I was like, no, that's not my email.
So this is actually a really interesting point because part of what we do, like the standard thing that we roll out whenever we onboard a new customer, is we deploy phishing simulations. So we are actually sending out industry relevant to your business phishing simulations, and then to those that fail it, click it, enter credentials, don't report it. We send pointed security awareness training. So it's, hey, you click this. Probably shouldn't have done that.
Right.
This is exactly why. You should have looked at this thing and reported it to this person. And the people are the weakest link. Email is the biggest attack vector. People are the weakest link.
Yeah.
Yeah. How scared are you of AI doing this? Because that's my biggest fear is like, I know AI is going to unlock a bunch of power for convenience, but it's also going to make like the heavy lifting of the like long con, like a robot
Negligible.
can do it.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So a robot can do a long con, not to go way, I might.
Yeah, I know. I know you fall hat here, but keep going.
but like.
It's not. You're right.
You know what I mean? Like I would have to like, I could fake a long con via email or whatever, establish trust, make it look real, but I have to use my own time to do that. But a robot could like, I could just, AI over the next 3 months,
So you're thinking-
fish these people and get, whatever.
Dude, thieves getting more. I guess thieves are going to get more efficient too.
They're already using it.
Yeah.
They
are the first ones.
Right. There's always the bad guys who use the tools.
Yeah,
the best,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So, man, this could be a long conversation. But the thing about AI is I could do this right now to your firm. Promise is I could have AI go and parse your website, give me a summary of everything, everyone that works there. I see your team members on the website. I see that you're the proprietor.
Yep.
I see who you work with. I see the types of businesses you work with. I could probably go do some research online and find out who your customers are. And I can send an email to one of your people or one of your customers that will get me some sort of revenue. And what's even scarier than that, that's just text. And so I have a little surprise for you guys.
Well,
So there's hours and hours of Marcus talking online. There are AI tools out there where
you
I
don't
can
know my code name, but continue.
That's right.
Yeah.
I can create a synthetic version of Marcus's voice,
Oh, Lord.
and I can do whatever I want. He's put his voice out there on
Can
the
it
internet.
make me sound handsome?
Okay, wait.
All right. So show me what you got. I'm kind of nervous here.
Okay, here you go. So like I said, there's lots and lots of hours of Marcus talking. So if I were a bad guy and wanted to vish hit one of his customers, I could call them and do this.
All right, put up to the microphone. There we go.
Hey, this is Marcus. You're going to get a letter from Stephanie, but I just wanted to call and let you know that we switched banks. Next time we invoice, please ACH to our new account. Routing number on that is 0440723224, and account number is 0001234566789. Thanks for being flexible with us. We appreciate your business and hope you have a great day.
Dude, that's like
it's close.
It's close.
It's too close for sure.
Yeah.
That was trained on like 25 seconds worth of
So imagine if
I would have actually put in all of like I would have had to export all of your podcasts and put them all in, and I'd have to cut out Tyler and I had to like cut Tyler because I didn't want it taking Tyler's voice into the sample.
Yeah.
So this is scaring me now. I don't know if I want to call you on the phone now. Does he record this?
Yeah.
Where's this going? This is going into a pool of data.
Well, it's like, I mean, go watch. Well, there's so much content out there about AI.
You can't be scared, right?
Yeah. I mean,
no, that's
up for debate.
All right. So we talked about so that's the bad. Like, you can get hacked. Like, people can phishing. I guess the takeaway: phishing's going to come generally. It's going to come through email. I mean, you kind of brought the next level of phishing, which is augmented or spoofed voices and that kind of stuff. But generally, what you're seeing is somebody gets in through email from one of your team members. That's the takeaway. All right. What can people do? So I've heard all that, and I'm like, okay, I get it. You got me listening now. What could they do to stop that? Like, what are some things you say, non-negotiable best practices? You have to do these things as kind of the foundation.
So there are frameworks that small businesses can look at and follow. The thing is self-implementing those things is very difficult. Because you don't necessarily know what good looks like.
Yep.
And so what we do is kind of a layered security approach. If you were to look up our logo, at the S1 technology logo, it's layers. And so we kind of think about security with a layered approach. And so we talked about how email is the number one attack vector. So we secure email. And then behind that, we have two-factor authentication in case anyone ever gets access to your email. And behind that, we have a malware protection tool, an antivirus tool, an anti-ransomware tool on your workstations themselves.
Yep.
And if you have a server, we have that same software on those. Then we have backups just in case that server ever gets compromised with what's called a zero-day threat.
Yep.
Something that no antivirus, no malware protection's ever seen before.
Yep.
And so we protect against that in that way. And then kind of going back up the chain is we're training the users to not click on the things they shouldn't click on.
Right.
And we're training them to report the things that do get sent in. And then on top of that, we have 24/7 security operations center with people sitting in an office watching for anomalous behavior on the networks to see, whoa, this Tyler's computer is talking to Marcus's computer and his doesn't normally ask for information that way or request credentials in that way.
Right.
So looking for anomalous behavior. So just deploying that stack, that standard in the way that we do things, which is actually the exact same stack that cyber insurance is going to request for you to. So we kind of work in a way that drops your premiums for cyber insurance.
Right.
So it's all kind of like hand in hand. However, AI is making things kind of hard on us, and all these new tools and these new like progressive things the bad guys are doing are making our jobs just a little bit harder. So, so it's really just kind of staying abreast, deploying that multi-layered security approach, and just paying attention, being deliberate.
Are you seeing when you come in a new customer, like they've got a couple of these pieces in place, or because I would imagine they're coming to you because, okay, they've seen some of your marketing or they've heard about you, you've got a referral, somebody else uses you. What state are most people coming to you in? Are they like, they're pretty good, but they need a little cleaning up? And that's kind of where you guys say, look, pretty good foundation, but let us get you there? Or what does that look like when a new customer's coming?
Yeah, so I'll answer that in two ways. So businesses most often come to us for basically two different reasons. One, they got hacked or they did something wrong. Ugh. And they sent an invoice or sent a payment to a place where they shouldn't have. Or the other is we're an IT services company. So their IT provider takes days to get back to them or resolve issues. They don't feel like they're being communicated to properly. They don't feel like they're being strategic in their business. I mean, computers is part of everyone's revenue operations now. Like you need a computer to generate, even if you're an offshore company, those technicians are putting in their time and billing from a computer in Excel.
Yeah.
Everyone uses computers. And so those are the two reasons why people call us. The state in which we end up talking to those customers or finding them is they've got like 2 or 3 disparate tools. And you kind of mentioned disparate tools earlier. And it creates a lot of either deferred maintenance or tech debt in the way that they either interact or don't interact with one another. So if you have WebRoot as your cybersecurity, your endpoint protection tool, your antivirus malware protection, and then you have Barracuda for your email protection, and then you have Google authentication for your MFA. Those are 3 separate tools that don't talk to one another.
Yeah.
The tools that we use, the malware protection, the email protection, the multi-factor, the security awareness training, they're all in the same pane of glass. So we can see when one tiny anomaly here that shouldn't really be noteworthy does something in conjunction with another little anomaly, alarm bells start going off.
Yeah.
And like I said, that 24/7 security operations center is going to jump on that computer, remove it from the rest of the network so it can't propagate ransomware or someone trying to do something bad, steal data. We see a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
It does those things and sort of kills it at ground zero.
Yeah. So one thing that's very interesting to me is, and kind of I think I led the conversation with, I think you and I have a similar mind about hopefully how to service a client. So tell me what your guys' approach, because I want people to hear this because they're probably used to like kind of a break fix IT, kind of a reactive. So tell me what you guys do, kind of what sets you apart at S1.
Sure. So I appreciate you teeing that up.
Yeah.
So we think a lot about customer experience. So we're in the IT business, we're in the cybersecurity business, we're in the computer business, but what we really are is in the people business. Our assets are people that sit in seats, get up and leave at the end of the day, and they're supporting people who are just trying to do their jobs in the best way possible. So I think that's like the core ethos of it, or the core value, which is people taking care of people. And what that's really led us to be is a company that owns the outcome and is very proactive in our approach to surprising and delighting the customer in, hey, Tyler, did you realize that you could use Teams in this way and your hourly employees can track their time in shifts and you don't have to pay for this other tool in ADP or Gusto or something? You can just track it all right here. So that's like the efficiency type things. But whenever it comes to I need support with something, we don't hire dispatchers. We hire only engineers and technical consultants, the people that solve the problems. So you call in, you get a tier 2 or tier 3 or tier 4 engineer that's going to solve the problem. Not someone that says, okay, well, I've taken your ticket down. I'll call you back in 3 hours with an engineer that can solve the problem. You have a problem now. The problem gets fixed now.
Yeah.
Or if someone submits an email-based ticket, we have metrics for all these things like Power BI dashboards that track these things. Our response time is below 3 minutes for email-based tickets. Our resolution time for all tickets across the board, across thousands of computers and people is 20 minutes. On average per ticket, because we think about things back to your analogy or your example with 10 minutes being a tremendous amount of time over the course of a year. Like that's a salaried employee or a revenue generating employee. If we can minimize their downtime to almost nothing, we're literally putting money back in the pockets of our customers. Right. So it's we are people taking care of people. It is we understand the urgency of what's going on in your business. And then 2, we're going to set you up for success for the next 3, 5, 10 years, whatever the horizon is.
Nice. All right. So that's kind of what I thought you'd say. I hope you'd say, better than I can say it, obviously. If people would like to get in touch with you, so we'll kind of round it off and say like, okay, I'm buying what you're selling. And people want to know more about S1, about you, where can they find you?
LinkedIn. I spend way too much of my day on LinkedIn. So if you send me a LinkedIn DM, I'll probably reply to it within seconds. So.
Awesome, man. Well, look, man, I appreciate you jumping on. I've learned a lot. You scared me and you made me feel better all at once. So.
All right.
I think I'm leaving. I'm leaving it.
You didn't leave us in despair.
I think it made me leave thinking like we're doing okay, but we could do better. So appreciate you coming on.
Sure.
Man.
Thanks. All right, and as always, we got more content, more episodes at mire.group. You can check those out there, and you can reach out to Marcus and his firm there too.
All right, guys. See you next time.
See ya.